I think that the most obnoxious, fancy, expensive wooden resource that I have purchased for our homeschool has got to be... Hi guys, welcome back to Crazy Brave Homeschool. My name is Ashley, a homeschooler to young elementary kids. I have a second grader and a TKer. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the stuff we didn't need. So recently I posted a video about all of the curricula that ended up not working out for our homeschool within the last year of purchasing and planning it, trying to use it. Some of it we didn't even get to, and I'm not sure we're going to get to it. If you're interested in that video, I will link it below. This video though is not really going to be so much about curriculum. It's really going to be more about the materials, all the resources that I thought would come in handy. You know, it's I totally understand going to thrift stores or homeschool sales or garage sales, and getting stuff, it's super discounted because you're well, we just might use this. And I totally get that. And I'm guilty of that too. This is almost more so about spending good money on stuff that just really might not be necessary. Probably some of the stuff that I'll show you was thrifted, but I think honestly, most of this I probably bought at full price. And so even though I am not a veteran homeschooler yet, I do think I have maybe a little nuggets of wisdom under my belt, being that this is our third year. And so I'm hoping to impart a little bit of that wisdom with you, especially if you are a new homeschool mom and you really just don't quite know what you need. Hopefully I can help you figure out a little bit of what you don't need. So I think that, a lot of times homeschoolers know how to use the stuff that I'm going to show you if they are a particular style of homeschool. So interest-led homeschools, right? In our first year of homeschooling, we actually unschooled my daughter for her kindergarten year. I'm not going to go too into what unschooling is, but essentially it's just not following a curriculum. It's really just using what you have or bringing in additional resources to suit the child's interests, and also making some of the core learning fun through games, activities, a lot of natural learning, and not so much formal lessons, right? So that's what we did kindergarten year, because I really just feel that the kindergarten year should be spent doing more play. I think that's particularly how I felt at that time. My beliefs have shifted just a little. So what ended up happening was I would just start grabbing resources everywhere I saw them, thinking well, maybe this will come in handy. Maybe this will come in handy because maybe she'll like this more than this to learn her numbers or letters. And as our sort of philosophies with homeschool shifted throughout the years, those things have not been necessary for us, and then ultimately ended up not even really being used. I think also with unit study homeschoolers, so that's kind of a philosophy of homeschooling is through unit study. We did a lot of that last year for my daughter's first grade year. And so again, when you're a unit study family or homeschool, you find these resources and you're well, that could really fit in perfectly if we ever do a space unit or if we ever do an anatomy unit. And this stuff just starts piling up. So I actually had a lot more, but I recently did sort of a homeschool purge and got rid of a bunch of stuff, which feels great. But all the stuff I'm looking at, I'm maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. I'm not ready to part with it yet, but I can tell you right now, it's not being used yet. So you can also tell behind me my bookshelf is pretty empty. It's because I pulled a lot of stuff off of it to show you guys what I'm talking about here. Okay, so one of the first things that I think a lot of homeschoolers get pulled towards that they end up perhaps not using like us are curriculum style workbooks. Always known that I wasn't very fond of workbooks, and yet I still got them. Look at that. So what I mean by curriculum style workbooks, it's not so much the ones that you're gonna find at the dollar store or Target dollar spot. I don't even know if that's still called that. What is it called? I call it the Target dollar spot. that's a separate thing. So, okay, for instance, these ones from Fun Schooling. This is like a Counting to 100 workbook. This is a research book about endangered animals. So like, this is right up my daughter's alley, but if we have a science curriculum that we're using and that's working, which for us has sort of been an issue, but we do have something else that we're using, it's hard for me to know when and how to fit this in. I've talked about this before. I think when she's writing more on her own, then I can kind of bring this in as a supplement. But like, my son has a math curriculum that's working well for him. So like, when exactly am I gonna bring in additional math work when I feel like he's already doing plenty? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna have him do extra. The only times where I can see these things coming in handy is if your math curriculum is starting to like dry up and you need to take a little break, then you have a supplement to go to. So I think it's important to have some supplements, but not too many, right? Another example might be this. So this is a supplement from All About Reading that's like a bird unit kind of reading workbook. It's just extra reading practice. I got this because we're doing a bird unit, but again, her curriculum is going fine. I don't have time to like squeeze something like this in because I know she's not gonna enjoy it anyway. It's gonna be like additional work for her. Some other ones might be like handwriting. We did use this a bit, and I had the intention of this being her handwriting curriculum, but then I went and got one that I trusted a little bit more from The Good and the Beautiful. My point kind of with these is that like, if you have a curriculum that you're using, it's just really not necessary to get the extra stuff. Here's another good example of like a curriculum workbook. I got these beginning geography books for my kids, and I really don't remember why, but they don't like them. And we have a geography program right now we're using. No idea when I would bring something like this in. Their unit study thing I got was this bird watching notebook. It's like, this is great. I actually really like this, but my kids just aren't really writing yet. So I don't know, we'll talk about this later when I update you guys on our bird unit. But anyway, those are my examples of like workbooks that you just don't need if you already have a curriculum for those subjects. Okay, here's another one, math manipulatives. So I know that math manipulatives are a big deal in the homeschool math world. A lot of curriculum use them, recommend them. A lot of curriculum come with them. So if you are using a math curriculum that already comes with its own manipulatives, you definitely don't need to buy extra, right? So I got these like adorable pom-poms, like wool ones that were overly priced that accompanied something else I'm gonna show you that we didn't need. I got these little math cubes. I got these little like bingo chips. I got these Cuisinart rods, which are actually pretty cool, but we honestly have not used them as much as I would have hoped. And they're big and bulky. They take up a ton of space. They're a huge mess. I got these, you guys will know these ones. I think these are pretty popular, right? And then I got the Digi blocks that have like the units of 10 in them. I will say, of all the math manipulatives that I have purchased for our homeschool, these ones, unless we're using all the ones that came with our math curriculum, which is a lot, if I ever need something different, I go for these. I like these a lot because they're in units of 10. So it has been great for my child learning skip counting and her place value. So I really like the Digi blocks. And these store really easily. So I appreciate these. I honestly could get rid of all of these other ones, and look how much room this would save in my math drawer, you know? Okay. I want to address the really beautiful but overpriced wooden homeschool resources. So this is like very popular, especially all over like Instagram and Pinterest. All of these really beautiful, oftentimes handcrafted wooden, you know, homeschool like learning resources. And it is very easy to be caught up in their whimsy and how beautiful they make a homeschool look. So listen, if you're, you know, if you have a huge budget, go for it. Make your homeschool room look beautiful. We had we have charter school funding with the homeschool charter that we go through. So they did purchase this stuff for us with our funding. But now that I'm out of funding this year, could I have used that money towards something else, like more books, you know, more construction paper, things that we actually use? Yes, I could have. And this stuff costs a lot of money. So some of this stuff is, for example, like these wooden writing tiles. I have used these a lot as like display with our unit studies that we've done. So like I'll write out the word, you know, bird or TP or whatever, however it relates to what we're studying. But like my kids have so rarely used these. Was it worth how much were these? Maybe these might have been like $35 on Amazon. Was it really worth that? I don't know. I don't really know how much they learned from the handful of times that they used these. Did they make my unit studies look pretty? Yeah, they did, which maybe brings me some joy. But again, I don't think they were necessary. Okay, another one is and this was not cheap. Treasures from Jennifer is a company that makes a lot of wooden homeschool resources. And they are beautiful. This is such a well-made hundreds chart or hundreds counting table, whatever you would call this. I watched some Instagram video or YouTube homeschoolers that used this in a lot of creative ways. But I thought I would get this with these balls. And it would be a fun way for my kids to learn, you know, counting to 100 and skip counting and adding and subtracting and all these creative ways that you can use this. She also has all of these very charming tokens of all sorts of things. So I got the numbers 1 through 100 and they fit perfectly in here to teach my kids, again, counting upward and backward and skip counting and all those things. She even has symbols for doing addition and subtraction, so you can do math problems using this. She has letters, so you can learn how to spell on this. She has like fractions, and I think she even has like flags, you know, so you can learn your country's flags. So great if you don't have a curriculum, right? If you are putting together your own stuff, you're not following a program, then you have time, right? You might be asking, what if you just put it out so that your kids will gravitate toward it and play with it? They don't. I've tried. They don't gravitate towards it. So I'm bummed. This was like, I think this might have been like $70 and it just hasn't gotten used. So then I also got, in addition to the coins, I needed an organizer. Look at this beautiful handcrafted. It feels so good. It's so pretty. Maybe I could actually use this for myself, but it's not getting used and it was not cheap. Okay, and while we continue on the wooden note, our wooden calendar. So you've probably seen this in a lot of my videos. I don't think this has been a waste. I think having this up in the schoolroom has just been a great visual for the kids. In the beginning, oftentimes I would have them help me build it in the beginning of the month. They get to choose their little seasonal coins. So it hasn't been a total waste, but now we're using actual calendars, like a planner for my daughter to learn her calendar work. And that has been way more efficient and effective than using this. This also was very expensive. I want to say maybe $70. Maybe the counting board was $50. This was $70. But I do appreciate that this came with the moon phases. We don't use it for the whole thing, but we do like knowing what day the full moon and like the new moon is on. It falls over a lot. It's caused me a few headaches, frustrations. It's kind of annoying to build the whole thing again at the beginning of the month. And then lastly, I splurged a little on one of these syllable link boards. This is from, I forget the name. It's a small homeschool company, Link and something. But it has this really well-made, whatever you would call this, and it's on a handcrafted board. It also comes with a few of these sticks that slide. So like the whole point of this is when you're teaching new words, you can like break them up by syllables. This was maybe another kind of impulse purchase. Okay, and I think that the most obnoxious, fancy, expensive wooden resource that I have purchased for our homeschool has got to be these wooden numbers. I got these for this year. I talked a little bit about them, or my plan to get them, in my curriculum reveal a while back for my son. Oh my God, you guys. So they're these wooden numbers that are actually pretty cool, like the way that they can work. They kind of can work like puzzles. 5. If I can do this here. So you see it's like the same height. Like, so it's pretty cool. And there's like all of these like really interesting ways that you can use these. Okay, here's my beef with them. My son doesn't care. I thought he was gonna like totally freak out for these because he just loves blocks and building. But he doesn't, he loves numbers. I thought it was a win. He doesn't care. They fit only in like one specific way to get them back in the way that they came. It's like a puzzle to get them back in, which is, I haven't figured it out yet. And it's like, right? It's like this tiny box that they fit in, and they haven't gotten used, and they were very expensive. I don't remember how much they were. I want to, oh my God, I don't know, maybe $100. Oh, you guys. Okay, moving on from wood stuff, let's hit reference coffee table books. What would I call them? You're gonna know what I mean when I start pulling them out. This big, massive, beautiful reference books. I'm gonna show you what we have. We got Botanicum, Animalium, of the Slow Down, 50 Adventures. Oh, this is huge. Atlas of Dinosaur Adventure. Where on Earth? Okay, so you guys know where I'm going with this, right? We have a ton of these, and they're big, and they have beautiful pictures, and they are wonderful reference books. But if you have a curriculum that does not call for these books, it is really hard to figure out where you're gonna put them in. Like, when are the children going to read these unless they're picking them up for fun? So I think like if you are a unit study homeschool or an unschooling homeschool, these books are fantastic for that. But if your curriculum does not call for these, it's just like, we just don't have time in our school day to just be like, let's also just throw in this book and flip through it and learn something new. So far, we just really haven't. Like these ones too, like these are expensive, beautiful books. The one out of all those I showed you, Slow Down, has definitely been the one we've used the most. This is really appropriate for young ages. I think too, like some of those books I showed you, they're just like, they're a little mature. So if you're gonna get big reference books like this, get age appropriate ones that are actually going to make sense. Okay, so while we're on that note, nature study books and resources. For a family who probably does nature study maybe the least out of all of our subjects, we have this whole shelf is all devoted to nature study. So you can see the books and stuff that are up there, but in addition, we have the books that I just showed you, the Animalium, the Botanicum, Slow Down. We have the entire Julia Rothman collection, all of her books. I think that these are age appropriate. I do appreciate that. The problem I have with these is that they don't stay open. And so it's really hard to like study something out of here or put it on display when they just don't stay open. So I really do think that these books are gonna be used more when the kids are older. So another one I wanna hit are geography resources. It turns out I'm like apparently terrified that my kids don't have enough geography resources. The big reference books are definitely a part of that. Books like Children Like Me, and none of our programs that we've used have called for any of these books. We have Beautiful Feet US Geography, and all the books for that are up there. So those are the ones that we actually use. These ones I've just felt like we have to have. Little Kids' First Big Book of Where, like I showed you, Where on Earth, Nat Geo Wild Animal Atlas. For how little information is in this thing is massive. There is no reason that this book has to be this big for like barely any information. Yeah, it's a huge book for minimal content. United States Atlas. Like, this is way too mature for the kids at this age. There's no way that we're gonna get to this until, I don't know, like 4th or 5th grade. The other books I showed you, 50 Adventures in the United States, we have not touched this, even though we're studying US geography. This just hasn't made sense with the curriculum that we're using. This I do feel that we'll get to because my son loves dinosaurs. I got a subscription to Nat Geo Kids because the kids just, you know, they love animals and everything like that. So I figured these would come in handy, but they just kind of started to feel like extra. We did a full year subscription of Letters from Afar, reading letters from all over the world. These letters are really beautiful, but my kids were not into them. And it was like $72, I think, 70 something dollars to do a full year subscription. So not cheap. If you're already studying geography in some way through a curriculum, there's no reason for these unless your kids really enjoy them. Or unless, of course, you're a unit study family or an unschooling family. Another resource that, you know, you buy for geography are just like random games at the thrift store. We have not used these yet. My kids love games, so I'm not like worried about it. I think we probably will. But another one are puzzles. Like, I have this US state puzzle. I got rid of a couple, and then I have this world map puzzle. I have more up here. San Francisco and another US map puzzle. Oh my gosh. So, and then I have a map that I don't need because I have 2 maps that we use all the time. And then, of course, I had to get one of these interactive maps that comes with like the wand. The kids actually like this. I'll say out of all of our geography resources, this is probably the one that gets used the most. Of course, we have a globe. It's like, take it easy. And then one more geography resource. I got all of these ready to read living in different countries. I don't know when we're gonna do this. I think that these could be good as like reading assignments for my daughter. So when we're learning about a particular country, I might assign her one of these. Okay, another thing that I have too many of that I haven't even really used yet are like dictionaries. So we have this, the Usborne Math Dictionary, grammar and punctuation. We have a whole Usborne Junior Illustrated Dictionary. I have, if you can see back here, I have the, like, Spanish to English dictionary, a pocket dictionary, children's encyclopedia, and then another like dictionary. It's just like, it's just too many. These were recommended from some families, homeschool families, but again, I think that these are great, like especially the grammar and the math one. Like, if you maybe don't follow a strict curriculum, then you have a guide. But we do have curriculum. Another one are subscription kits. Kits, I guess is the right word. So we've gone through all of our KiwiCo crates. Finally, it took us a while. We got a year subscription. We're almost through all of our little global citizen ones. I have a couple left. I have this kids art box. We haven't done all the crafts out of this yet, but subscription kits have just really not been like super fun for us. The kids will be into it for like maybe the first day or like a few or like 20 minutes. But then they just don't, I don't know, they don't seem to want to come back to it. And so a lot of the stuff just ends up not even getting used. I think that the KiwiCo crates were definitely the best because you have these like ridiculously tacky little little inventions, mechanisms or whatever that are just like in your homeschool and you have no idea where to put them or how to display them or even if to keep them or when to throw them away. They're annoying. One that I want to say is kind of like an obvious one, but I think a lot of us are guilty of doing it. At like the dollar spot, you know, at Target, dollar store, or whatever, we buy flashcards because we see this and we're like, I feel like we're gonna need these. And the fact is I used these, I displayed them because they were the most beautiful. But honestly, I really haven't used a whole lot of our flashcards. Math, we have a bunch of math flashcards too. They don't get used because we have a math curriculum and we have a reading curriculum. And then it's like, I don't have a lot of it right now because I just went through a big purge, but you know, just like the learning resources at the dollar spot of all of like, I don't know, one example is like these blocks that have like a little whiteboard. So you can like build words with blocks by writing the letters on them. We never used those. Some of them are like the puzzles with like a picture and then the letters that you spell out to make cat, and then there's a picture of a cat and they're like these little puzzles. We never used those. I just got rid of all that stuff, but you get it because it's like cheap and you feel like, well, this might be a really good supplement. So the Target dollar spot is very dangerous. Keep walking. Is like all of the workbooks that you can get at the dollar spot or Dollar Tree, you know, Walmart, wherever you guys shop. These just don't get used. If you are, again, like an unschooling family and you just want to craft your own curriculum, these can come in really handy. But otherwise, there's no reason that I would use these if I already have a curriculum that's working for us. Okay, so that's it. Do you guys agree that this stuff is just like tends to be extra? It costs money, you don't end up using it, it's kind of a waste. Or I would love to know in the comments if like you guys love buying this type of stuff and you know ways to implement it into your homeschool. I would love to hear about it. All right, have a great rest of your weekend if I get this posted today or tomorrow. Otherwise, I will catch you guys soon. Bye.